Mr. Tata has asked that we have a little bit of a fireside chat rather than an acceptance speech. In all due modesty, it also gives me a great chance to interview Ratan. We had the privilege today of going on Charlie Rose together. So for those of you who are home and up at 11 p.m. tonight, a small plug. But I will now play Charlie Rose and interview you, if that's okay. So let's start by talking about business as it is seen now globally. I think lots of people are saying, and we've watched this happen over the last maybe 20 or 30 years, that the role of business is shifting, particularly the multinational corporation, and that they are acting like governments, and they take sort of parastatal actions that affect people all over the world. If it's true, as governments especially are in more and more financial stress, as we're starting to see in so many countries in the world, and businesses are playing these global multinational roles, how should business really then think about its social responsibility, or should it think about it as it's moving into this new kind of role?
I believe that businesses should be sensitive to the fact that they're making a difference in the places where they operate. A company going into the Amazon and quarrying raw material leaves behind a tremendous scar, which they don't intend to do, but that they do. And they need to be sensitive to the fact that they have to give back to that community and return it to normalcy and do things to help the prosperity of that community. And this is all the more evident in the developing world, where disparities are so huge. And I think if industry is not sensitive to it, they will in fact encourage a backlash to take place. And I think many companies, multinational companies that go overseas, are getting to understand the need to do this. And those that don't, I think, are really hurting the reputation of enlightened industries all over the world.
You know, your companies maybe have a unique distinction of having been rated on so many of the best this and the most that, as ones that are viewed as most innovative, most valuable, but also extremely high in reputation. What advice do you give your business colleagues when they ask how you're able to accomplish in these various domains and still satisfy shareholders, meet analyst reports, succeed in the metrics by which so many companies judge and are judged by?
The analysts we don't make very happy much of the time, or we don't seem to make them happy enough. But I think the employees of the organization have gained a certain spirit of being part of a community in which they operate. And it has become very much the DNA of the organization to play a role in the community. At the cost of a little digression, we have an entity in the group called the Tata committee that deals in calamities. So, for example, when the tsunami hit the coast of India, or earthquakes hit the west coast of India, this is a voluntary group within the Tata organization that is given leave from their normal job to go help the people in this area. They do this living in very primitive and very hard circumstances, rebuilding or adopting villages, rebuilding homes, doing all those, and then they revert back to their job as though nothing happened. This is something that has to be seen to be understood, because nobody asks them to do it. There's no growth for them to do so. It's just natural.
Oh, it's wonderful. We talked today at the conference about what the mechanisms are to assure, if it's possible, that the benefits of technology really do reach deeply to poor and vulnerable populations around the world. And I know this is something you've thought quite a lot about. Maybe you can share your views with us.
I think that I can't really put into words, but when you see, as you do in Africa or in parts of Asia, abject poverty, and you look at yourself as being people that have well-being and comforts, I think it takes a very insensitive person not to feel that they need to do something. And that's not just handing out dole, but playing a role in helping get prosperity to the community in which they are. It's hard for me to put it in words, but I think when you see hungry children, you see bright eyes, intelligent eyes, but children who never have a chance, you see malnutrition around you, it would take a very tough person not to want to do something.
You have obviously, you run a group of successful businesses. You have a very disciplined business mind. Do you apply that business mind to your philanthropic endeavors? Do you ask yourself, how do I get leverage? How do I know if I'm having impact? What are the business principles, if any, that apply to a philanthropic set of endeavors?
I think more and more you're applying the same business principles, but more recently, the advantage of marrying technology to what you're trying to do, or applying technology, either to purifying water or reducing the cost of reaching the magnitude of people that you plan to reach, or the logistics. These are all areas of technology and business acumen that you bring to the table. And it does pay off. It makes a difference.
If you think, and you've been at this for a very long time, if you think about all your philanthropic endeavors, what has moved you the most to date? What experience?
There have been several. There hasn't been a single one that one can talk of, but I think what moves one very often is seeing a community that's, let's say, been almost decrepit because of lack of water. And then you move in and you bring simple principles of ponding and conserving water, dealing with agriculture and conserving water. And you see after 2-3 years, that community suddenly being prosperous because they've got fertile land, the whole community changes. And fairly soon, these members of that community will become able and contributing people to society. And nothing gives you greater pleasure than to see that transformation, to see kids that are now healthy, to see the desire for cleaner facilities. The desire for education, for example, is something that comes with this, and all of that is a transformation.
I want to go back to your business career, and I'm sure you remember that when you were named to your role, there were some who thought you were too young and too inexperienced. And you've been a remarkable success. So what were you doing then? How were your early years, and how did you try to take your youth your experience, your skills, your knowledge, and become a great leader of a great set of companies?
I followed someone who had very large shoes, Mr. Judith Tata. He was a legend in India, in the business community. He was somebody that had been at the helm of the Tata organization for over 50 years. We'd almost come to think that he was going to be there forever. And you feel suddenly that you've been thrown in the deep end of a swimming pool in trying to follow him. And I think the greatest dilemma in my mind was, how do I mimic him or follow in his footsteps? And I realized I could never be him, and that I should just try to be whatever I was, and that got read by the media in India, which have been less than friendly, as being someone who would destroy the group, who didn't have his competence or his capability. And you realize fairly soon that it's not you, it's what the entire workforce that you count on and your colleagues do. It's a team effort. And that team had the spirit that he had built, which was available to me. And I think I have only achieved what 400,000 people have been able to do to support me. The honor you've bestowed on me today should, in fact, really reflect on them, not on me.
Oh, thank you. Let me ask one last question. You have these incredible young people who already are so motivated to do well by doing good. What advice would you give them? What do you see in their future, and how would you tell them to confront it?
That's probably the most difficult question you've asked. Yeah. I would say that they should just be themselves. They're here today because they have been recognized for what they've done. They should feel proud of what they have achieved, and just be themselves and do what they can, bearing in mind that they're fortunate and there are many around them that are not. So.
Well, we have wonderful achievements yet to come. This evening, please join me in celebrating a lifetime of achievement.
Thank you. Thank you very, very much. Thank you.
Absolutely.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Again, ladies and gentlemen, thank you all for joining us. You are more than welcome to stay. It's been a wonderful day and evening. We are happy that you've all been here. Thank you.
Very, very much.
Thank you so much again.